Tefano, a very warm welcome to No Boundaries, the Cricket World Cup special edition. I am joined, she's a full house up in here, and I'm very grateful to have your company. I've also got Colin Munro, Martin Guptill and Mike Hesson joining me. Lads, this is lovely. Lovely to be together so early in the morning. Hess, I'll start with you because we have talked at length. We marked this one down as a potential let's wait and see game for New Zealand, beating Afghanistan by 149 runs overnight. So that is, I mean, they are looking good in this tournament compared to some other big teams. But how did you feel the overall performance looked for the BLACKCAPS tonight?
Oh, I get a little bit boring, really, in terms of we're just really professional in terms of how we're going about it. Like, that was quite a challenging start. I mean, probably the thing that eased a little bit of tension with me was when Simon Doull did the pitch report. And he said it was a good wicket, it was a fresh pitch. So that alleviated a few concerns around the fact that the spinners might take over. And although Mujib got the ball to shift around a little bit in the air, he didn't really turn it off the surface much. So, and once that happened, I think the way Conway started with Will Young was tidy. And then obviously the partnership between Young and Rutchin got New Zealand to a point where they weren't under too much threat. And even though there was a bit of a blip through the middle, we saw Latham and Phillips go about their work, and sort of Tom Latham just showed how good he is against spin in the subcontinent again. So, and that was always going to be too many. Chapman came in and played his little cameo, which was nice, and then we pretty much bullied them with the ball. So, just a really good performance, and one that I'm sure England and Australia would have loved to have had over the last week. Just a thorough professional performance.
Oh, yeah, it's been good, isn't it? So, Gup, welcome for the first time on the show. Great to have you here. So, when Afghanistan knocked over England, I mean, they're the defending champs, right? So that's going to give them a lot of confidence. But how do you level out that confidence? Because you've got to go again against another big team like New Zealand.
Yeah, it is a hard one. And obviously, Afghanistan haven't had, too many of those highs throughout their history. But, in Chennai, it's generally a spinner's wicket, and they would have been really looking forward to the chance to bowl at the BLACKCAPS batsman over there. And turns out it was a more batter-friendly wicket. And obviously, as Hess mentioned, there was a little blip through the middle, which could have really hurt New Zealand. But Tommy and Glenn, what a partnership that was to really take the game away from Afghanistan, and it just really set the game up for us. Yeah,
Glenn with his man of the match performance, 71 from 80 balls. Munners, you know a little bit about Chennai as well, and there's a lot of talk about it. Does that make their decision to put New Zealand in with the bat more interesting for Afghanistan? Do they just get it wrong?
Yeah, I think so. They spoke about the due, and I'm not too sure whether that came in. It probably wasn't enough time, obviously, 30 overs into the game and it was done. It was interesting for me to see that, for them going in and doing that, to be honest. You've got to make sure that you use that surface. Simon Doull said it was going to be a good batting surface, so your top orders for them is their main strength, so go out and use it while the surface is good.
GP would have been chomping at the bit to really get out there, Hess, because obviously the top order had done the job for New Zealand so far to this tournament. So great from a coaching perspective, Gary said he'd be pleased to see that middle order got a bit of a go.
Well, especially under pressure. They hadn't had much of a hit. I mean, Tommy got 50 in the last game, so he would have got a bit of confidence. But to go in, having lost 3 for 1, 2 new players, Rashid had really just started his spell. So it was testing. It was a challenging situation. So the fact that they were able to absorb a bit of pressure for 4 or 5 overs, and then once they started to build and started to tick over, then they got a little bit of confidence and set the game up towards the back end. So the fact that they stayed from there through to the 47th over, it was just a really experienced, high-quality partnership against a steady spin bowling attack. And I thought it was really good. And then Chapman came in, and I mean the reason why Chappie's there at the back end is to play those little cameos. Ultimately, if he has to do more, he does. But I thought that cameo, 25 off 10 or 12 or whatever it is, would have given him and the New Zealand side plenty of confidence that come the bigger games, he's able to do a job similar.
If we look at England, Gup, their bowling has been the talking point, particularly, their quicks are not doing what we know that they can do. But their batting unit, you'd say, looks pretty good. But against this Afghanistan bowling attack, they didn't. What did they do wrong to lose that game the way they did?
They just looked a little tentative to me, seeing a few highlights and things. They just weren't their free self, which they have been in the last few years. They just go out, play with freedom. they looked to hit the ball hard, and they just looked to like poke the ball around, prod it around, and they got themselves into a bit of trouble. Obviously couldn't rotate the strike and look for the big shot, and obviously the ball wasn't there, and they were getting themselves out. So they'll want to go back and reflect on that and just try and be free in the next game, to try and be at their belligerent best. And
do you think, Manas, that is what the Kiwis did better than England? They didn't sort of poke and prod around. They trust, because especially Devon at the start, even though he only got 20, once he went for it, and there were boundaries, up for grabs. Yeah,
and even Will Young, his first 6, over long on, when Mujib bowled that wrong into him, and he showed really, like Gup said, showed some impetus and actually some courage in this at the start of his innings to get him underway, whereas the English guys the other day probably, like Gup said, was a bit tentative and didn't play their natural game. And in this game, when you're not playing a natural game, it's a tough ask. When you're playing a natural game, when you're getting out there and you're doing what you need to do for the team, it's a lot easier, and things sort of tend to go your way. And I think we had a lot of luck today, if we're brutally honest. A couple of drop catches. I think I went to Chloe's first hardball training, and I think I saw some better catches last night than the Afghanistan boys. So, yeah, they'll go to work and hopefully come back better next game.
Hess, you've coached both of these boys who have opened for New Zealand on many, many occasions, but they're both players that you encourage to play their natural game. Is that what is a message that will be going around that New Zealand dressing room that Gary Stead will be saying to his players at the moment?
Look, I think so. It's nice if your natural game is an aggressive style, and both Gup and Colin, they're probably at their best when they're playing freely and that sort of thing. Someone like Will Young, it was, as Colin alluded to, it was great the fact that he was confident enough to take on the boundary riders, because he does suck up a few dot balls. So the fact that he's able, when it is in his slot, he's able to back himself. And he hit 3 6s downtown, which were all, free swings of the bat. There was no inhibitions or anything. So it was really nice to see. Even Rutchin got under a bit of pressure, and I'd be interested to hear from these other boys. The first time you faced Mujib, I was a little bit concerned. It took him a few balls to get through it, Rutchin, but he didn't throw it away. But that was a time where he was able to absorb that pressure. So, guys, the first time you face Mujib, and he's got his little googlies, his offies, he's got the ball swinging in. How do you pick it up out of the hand? How do you play it? The first time, do you know what's going on?
I had absolutely no idea, to be honest, Hest. I've only actually ever faced him the once, and yeah, it takes a few balls to actually pick up what he's doing and what he's trying to do. But once you have a look at each of his different deliveries, it becomes a bit easier, and you're able to get those balls away, tick over the strike a bit more, and then when he misses, you try and put it away. What
makes him so hard to see, like to read?
I think with a new ball, he gets the ball to move in the air too. So. That's why he's been so successful in RPL and wherever he's gone. When he bowls with a new ball, the ball moves in the air, and then in the CPL, he's pretty much unplayable, because as soon as the ball hits the surface there, especially in the day games, it can spin as well. So, yeah, he's very tough, especially the pace he bowls at as well. It's sort of that 100 kilometre, sometimes even a bit quicker. So you can't just sit back and read him off the surface, because he can beat you either side of the bat too. And he loves bowling to lefties. He's got that like away swinger that he does. And then he bowls a big loopy googly, and then he fires that Karen ball back in at you, and you're looking to play off the back foot and hits you on the shin, and you're gone.
This, of course, is No Boundaries, your Cricket World Cup special edition. I'm joined by Colin Munro, Martin Guptill, Mike Hesson, and let's talk about the Black Caps bowling performance. So 2 wickets for Bolt, 1 for Henry, 3 for Satner, 3 for Lockie again, none for Glenn, 1 for Rutchin. Hess, another, you used the word professional performance with the bat, but with the ball as well?
Yeah, first 10 overs, Bolt and Henry set the tone again, really tidy. And in the field, New Zealand were very good, contrary to what Afghanistan dished up. So it was just a really nice performance. Lockie came in and pretty much bullied the middle to lower order, and Satner continued doing what he's doing. So it was a really nice performance. I thought Phillips even bowled nicely, came on when they were sort of starting to establish a partnership. And the fact that Rutchin and Phillips were able to do that fifth bowler role together is really important for the side moving forward. So just a really nice performance, and as I said, with a bit of bullying towards the back end.
The bowling unit, has been together for some time, really, at its core, Gup. But have you been pleased for Lockie to see him take another 3 wickets? Because Hesson and I have talked a little bit about his sort of last 18 months. He's not been at his consistent best, and he'll know that. But nice to see him get a bit of consistency so far in this tournament.
Yeah, absolutely, and that'll do his confidence a world of good. He's bowled really well. His control's been there a lot more in this World Cup, which has been great for New Zealand, and it can only be better moving forward into some of the bigger games coming up.
And we're not used to seeing Matt Henry only get 1 wicket at the top, but he did still bowl well, and Trent bowled. That combination seems to be sort of humming a bit at the moment.
Yeah, I've been really impressed by Matt Henry, even through the summer when we were in, or our winter here, but over in the UK bowling, he's learned some new tricks as well. He's got a different slow ball that he's been working on that's coming out, and yeah, he's just got a lot of confidence. Obviously, winning the Blast and getting a 100 deal, and then now he's our premier white ball bowler when you think about it, because Bolty's there and thereabouts when he's available. So Matt Henry will be leading the attack alongside Lockie and probably Adam Milne when he gets back as well.
Tough for the likes of Tim Southey, who's running drinks at the moment. He's come back after his thumb. Now thumb injuries are the thing to get, would you believe? Poor old Kane Williamson. But he's got all these pins in his thumb. He's ready to go. Do you see him having a go in this World Cup, I should say?
Look, I think it's really difficult to find the time. There's actually good spacing between matches. Potentially after the Pakistan game in Bangalore, might be an opportunity to get him a game. But I mean, he's more going to come in for the likes of Bolt or Henry. As I said, I don't think you're going to play Bolt, Henry, and Southey in the same side because they're all certainly best suited to the new ball options. So, and you want to keep Lockie going while he's confident. So, I think it's going to be challenging. But the thing with Tim, as that backup bowler, is that that if you need him, he's ready to go. He's obviously got plenty of experience. The longer he goes without having to play will give that thumb more respite as well. And I saw the physio working on it again last night just to free up the movement. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I'm sure Tim will be ready to go, but if he has to sit and wait for another week or so, if he's required, he'll be ready.
And we must remember that straight after this World Cup, we go straight to Bangladesh for a test series. The other player we are yet to see is Ish Sodhi. I know you've spent a lot of time with him, and he's had a lot of time at World Cups now, but it'd be good to see him get a run at this World Cup. Do you think we will?
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, having a wrist spinner in your team is always a good trump card. And Ish's his one-day bowling has come along leaps and bounds in the last few years when he's had those opportunities to play consistently. So it would be nice to see him there, but it's pretty hard to break into this pretty settled unit at the moment. Yeah,
it does look very settled. What do you like about the way it's settled? Like, is there a particular combination that you're enjoying most, or is it just Bolt and Henry like we spoke about before?
Oh, Bolt and Henry obviously tick the boxes. One's left, one's right. Mitchell Satner, we know what he does. We spoke about it last time on the show. And then Lockie with now, he's found his feet. He's got wickets. He knows that, especially in Chennai now, he looks like he's got 6 wickets there in 2 games. And then, like he said, it's really nice to see Glenn Phillips and Rachin Ravindra being that 5th bowler. And, if we get on to a Bunsen and it might be spinning, then that's when you look at maybe one of those seamers sitting out and maybe getting Ish Sodhi in for somebody, and then we can bring Neesham in as well, and Neesham can be that 3rd seamer. So plenty of options, and like he said, boys on the bench will be waiting and hopefully ready to go when they are called upon.
New Zealand have got themselves into a nice little position in this World Cup so far. So let's take a look at Afghanistan's batting. Gurbaz, after doing so well in his last performance, not to be tonight, but they are just a little light in terms of the batting, Hess, and that's probably what they need to work on. There's that in the 5 catches they might have dropped tonight as well. But for the most part, that is strategically they try and when they win the toss, it's all around their batting and what it can withstand, right?
Well, and then that's probably another reason why I'm not sure they didn't bat first, because their bowling is solid. They know what they can do with the ball, but they want to alleviate as much pressure as they can on that batting lineup. And the fact they beat England batting first, getting a score on the board, it was a bit strange. And I know that stats suggest that you want to chase in Chennai because of the dew. It can sometimes spin more during the day, but you also look at your own team and go, look, we probably want to take some of that pressure off our weakest suit, which is our batting. And talking off air with Munners before, I mean, after the top three, they are very much T20 players. They're players that can come in and have a cameo innings here and there, but to play an innings of substance against a high-quality attack is challenging, and especially when you add pressure. So, as I said, that probably means that, they have challenged their batting too much, and the fact that Lockie was able to come in and, as I said, bully that sort of middle to lower order suggests that there's a bit of a soft underbelly there. So, plenty of work for Jonathan Trott and his crew to do.
But India at home is always a challenge, Hess, and something that I like to think the crowds will turn out for, although I have heard the numbers, the viewing numbers on this World Cup are some of the highest I've ever been, beating IPL, despite the fact we're not seeing the crowds as much as I thought we would in India. But this will be a big match and one that a lot of people have circled as one to watch, Hess.
Yeah, it will be. I mean, Dharamshala's it can be quite different in terms of the surface that you get. We've been there where it's been a little bit plasticine and spun a lot, and then we've also been there where it's been pretty good and nipped around under lights. So it'll be interesting to see what we get. But India is certainly, along with the BLACKCAPS, are the two form sides. So could well both turn up unbeaten, both playing some really good cricket. And India, haven't really been challenged other than the fact they were, 3 for 3 in the first game. Outside of that, they've been pretty impressive, to be fair. So New Zealand are going to have to play well, which is exactly the right time to be challenged, right in the middle of the tournament, just to see where we're going heading into the back end, and probably only one more win with that net run rate we've got would be required. So really looking forward to seeing how we front up against probably the form side in the competition.
Gup, this Dharamshala, it's right at the base of the Himalayas. It's a beautiful venue, but there has been a bit of weather around. We saw when the Netherlands beat South Africa. He's picked it. There was a lot of weather. There was rain delays and all sorts there. Will that play a factor in New Zealand's preparation for this game and what those conditions do to change the ground there?
I guess you just got to roll with whatever happens. You can't control the weather as cricketers, unfortunately. Sometimes you want to, but look, they just got to turn up there and prepare as best they can with what they get. If they have to train indoors, they have to train indoors and get the best out of it that they can. But come game day, they would have done the prep. They'll be ready to go. And if it rains, they just got to, I guess, wait around and be ready to go.
I might have some inside word here, but didn't you have an incident with a rat in your hotel there?
Yeah, I did actually, and they're still staying at that same hotel.
Okay, yeah. Good luck to the BLACKCAPS. Munners, when you look at India's performance so far in this World Cup and the way New Zealand have played, who do you see as the stronger looking of the two teams at the moment on paper?
Oh, it's a tough one. I think probably India in their own conditions. I would probably pip them maybe couple of percent, if I'm going to be brutally honest. But I'm really looking forward to the new ball bowling partnerships versus the top order, because I reckon that's where, obviously in white ball cricket, you can really win that power play. If Siraj and Bumrah get 2 or 3 in the power play, puts our middle order under pressure, and vice versa with Bolt and Henry bowling great areas. What they've been doing, if we can put Gill and Rohit Sharma under pressure. Obviously they've got Colin and stuff too, but if sooner we can get them in, put them under pressure, it will go a long way for us winning the game. So I'm really looking forward to watching those first 10 overs of each innings there. I think that's where the game will, in my opinion, will be sort of not won or lost, but make a difference.
Hess, you know what it's like to be involved in a campaign when you're at home. It's a home World Cup. There's a lot of pressure, notwithstanding the internal pressure that you got within the side to make the team. Like, there's a lot going on. But when it comes to being, in such a cricket-proud nation like India, how much pressure do you think India will be feeling at this World Cup, being at home? They want to do well, and they've got themselves into some interesting positions in World Cups in the build up to this. They know they can do this. They know they can win. But how do they balance that pressure and deal with it at home?
Well, they're going to have to do really well to try and get rid of it because it's going to be there throughout the whole tournament, and the expectation is that unless India win, it's a failure. So that in itself is a huge amount of pressure. I mean, their fans, 90% of their fans expect them to just turn up and blow other teams away. And we know World Cups don't quite operate like that. So, the one thing I would say is that the Indian players are used to it. I mean, they're used to, whether it be the IPL, whether it be playing bilaterals, there is a huge expectation and a huge amount of pressure on even keeping their spot. So, they're probably best equipped to deal with it than anybody. But yeah, the weight of expectation will certainly probably more weigh people around than the players. The players will be able to hopefully be able to sort of put that to one side. But if they keep winning, then once again that pressure's going to build up. The fact that they can front up come semi-final time, because there's no doubt they'll make the semi-finals. They are a very good, well-rounded side. But for me, it's just how they deal with the pressure come semi-final time.
This World Cup has been incredible. I mean, we've had some amazing upsets already. Gat, when you saw that the Netherlands beat South Africa, what did you think? Because you've actually played quite a bit of cricket against the Netherlands. Were you surprised? I mean, Hess picked it like a dirty nose. Scott Cyrus scoffed at him, which was inappropriate. But for them to beat South Africa, who looked good in the build-up to this World Cup as well, were you surprised?
I was a wee bit. I always thought that the Netherlands could tip someone up, but the way that South Africa have been playing their cricket, I mean, that series against Australia in South Africa was a high-scoring affair, and all their batsmen were in some pretty good touch. So to see them, not cross a massive score, I was a little bit surprised there, and to see Netherlands get up was, it's great for Netherlands cricket, and a wee bit of a surprise for me.
One of the interesting things at that Dharamshala, it looked like the lights could be a bit of a problem if you're fielding at night. I saw there was a drop catch on the boundary that, I mean, it wouldn't have changed the result in any way, shape or form, because I think the bloke Miller went out not too long after, but he sort of had to put his hand up. He couldn't see, it got lost in the lights. New Zealand don't like drop catches, so that's something to consider there as well. But were you surprised about the result against South Africa?
Yeah, I was, to be honest. Like I've said, South Africa's been playing some good cricket, and to not get over the line there, they'll be very disappointed. So, yeah, back to the drawing board for the South African boys, but yeah, very pleased. I saw the interview that Rilla van der Merwe, I think it was with Pommy, I think it was before the game, and he said, what did the Netherlands want to get out of? He's like, we here to make the semi-finals, we here to win the tournament, and that's the mentality I think you have to have. Even you have to have belief in yourselves, and I think that Netherlands team have a lot of belief in each other, and it shows the way they play their cricket. They back each other to the hills, and they go out there and play for each other. And I was very happy to see the South Africans get beat the other day.
And it was cool to see. And here's just quickly, I'd love your opinion on the tournament as a whole so far. What you see, we're a couple of weeks into it now, certainly a few games in. It's good, it's entertaining, and I love that you actually don't know, like with the South Africa game, you just don't know what's going to happen. Anything could happen.
Yeah, you used to think like the 50-over game would spread the teams out a little bit, and the cream would always rise to the top. But let's be fair, there's at least 7 teams vying for those 4 semi-final spots, and they're genuine chance of being there. So, I mean, that's what you want. You want it going down to the last ball. Hopefully, New Zealand and India, I think, being the host nation, will do enough early on, and then the rest can just scrap out for that 3rd and 4th spot. But yeah, South Africa going back to the pack. Australia under the pump early. Defending champs, having lost 2 of their first 3. It doesn't get much better than that. Even Sri Lanka, they've got over 300 twice, and then got rolled over pretty quickly. So there's enough there to keep you interested as a spectator, that's for sure. And obviously the fact that the BLACKCAPS are doing so well, from our perspective, means that those late nights are well worth it.
Who said 50-over cricket didn't belong anymore? Challenge me. Try me now. This is good. Mike Hesson, Martin Guptill, Colin Munro, thank you so much for your time and your thoughts this morning. And thank you guys so much for joining us. New Zealand, another great victory. They next take on India. All of that is coming up for you on Sky Sport. We'll see you soon.